Can we get a warm welcome for Quinn?
Thank you. I'm back. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. My name is Quinn Button. I was just on stage with an amazing female panel. This was actually supposed to be about a 45-minute lecture, so I'm going to really distill it down into a very quick 20-minute talk. For my fellow Degens, this is going to be very 101, very high level, but I think that hopefully you'll get a lot out of this as well. So my name's Quinn, as I said. My main focus is on Web3 data and how this will change the way that marketing is done in the future. A little bit about me. I have been in blockchain as an executive working since about 2020, 2021, in various different facets. I love traveling. I'm actually a digital nomad. I have been living all around the world with my husband for about 2 years, working remotely. It's one of the best parts about working in Web3. We're going to dive in a little bit into my background as we go through this and a bunch of the different experiences that I've had and how marketing has completely evolved with this technology and how it will continue to impact the future moving forward as well. So I'm going to start with how I learned about the blockchain. I learned about the blockchain because I started a little company called Life Out of the Box with my husband back in 2012. The whole premise of this was we really wanted to create a social venture, not a nonprofit, but a social venture where we would create handmade goods with artisans from different parts around the world. And consumers could actually buy a product, and with every single product that would be purchased, a set of school supplies would actually be donated as well. It was kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember the Tom's Shoes model, right? Where you buy a pair of shoes and you give a pair of shoes. But we really wanted to make it more transparent. We wanted the giving to actually be the biggest part of the purchase. Part of that was because we went around to a lot of NGOs that got donations from Tom's, and a lot of those shoes never actually got used. So we thought, why don't we make giving a bit more transparent? So we started off with bracelets made by Guatemalan artisans, amazing Guatemalan artisans. We partnered with lots of different NGOs, boots on the ground. We started this in Nicaragua. We went to Guatemala, and we went up to Ecuador. We ended up giving everywhere that we were working as well, expanded our product line in lots of different ways. We actually ended up going over to North Africa as well. We lived in Marrakesh, Morocco, and Jamalefna for a while, working with lots of different cool artisans. Now, the key thing is if you guys see the bracelets here, each one has a unique number on it, right? That was the serial code. So every single bracelet had its own number. That was hugely important because I learned how to code way back in the day when I was in elementary school. I was from Northern California. And I was trying to create a little database so that you could actually go onto our website, type in that number that was on your bracelet, and actually see who you gave school supplies to, therefore making the connection between the product and the giving even more profound. So as you can imagine, this started off just fine with the first 100, the first 1,000. But as we were scaling, it was getting to be a lot. And we were really trying to figure out how do we actually scale. We needed a better database. Insert, what I then ended up learning about was the blockchain. A blockchain is a distributed ledger, right? It's essentially a big database that no one actually single-handedly owns. So this was the very first introduction for me with blockchain. It had nothing to do with cryptocurrency. It had nothing to do with monetary anything. I really was excited about how could this ledger, how could this new type of database actually connect people and make giving more transparent? So as we were traveling and doing our thing all around the world, my husband, Jonathan, who you guys probably saw yesterday giving a couple of talks, he was doing his master's program at Oklahoma State University online, and that was a hugely helpful resource to making our business what it was at that to this day. We then ended up moving from Marrakesh, Morocco to Oklahoma State University. They offered me to get paid to get my master's program. They had just gotten a huge donation to create a student startup center, and they invited our startup, Life Out of the Box, to be one of the very first businesses in that incubator. So they said, well, you have to be a student. You already have an undergraduate degree. Why don't you become a master's student in entrepreneurship? So we ended up packing our bags and moving to Stillwater, Oklahoma, in the middle of nowhere. But it was awesome, and it was a huge, being here at the American College of Greece, I cannot emphasize how important and how valuable academic university resources are for individuals. Genuinely. I ended up not only getting my master's, but also getting my PhD as well. And we had a bunch of really amazing speakers, including one individual. His name was George Gilder. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of George Gilder, but George Gilder wrote a book called Life After Television. And that book was taken by Steve Jobs, and he made every single person in the Apple headquarters way back in the day read it and said, this is the future. Well, he came to Oklahoma State University's campus when we were there, and he was telling us about life after Google. This was his his book became the biggest selling book in all of China, and this book highlighted the fall of big data and the rise of the blockchain economy. Once I met him, we became really, really good friends. Highly recommend you guys read it if you guys haven't had a chance to read it. But that opened our eyes, and we thought, okay, once we're done with our PhDs, we're going all in on this industry. So that's what we did. Graduated with our PhDs in 2019, went all in on blockchain in 2020, and since then have been traveling around the world, giving lots of talks, sharing stories about tech. My first job was in New York City. I was the VP of Growth for NFT NYC, which was the largest NFT conference in the world with about 22,000 ticketed attendees. It's changed quite a bit since then. That was back in 2022, but we had a lot to say with NFTs back in those days. So just to kind of give you a basic, what are NFTs, right? They're basically just a medium for sharing digital content. Think of the CD drive, that's what it is. It's just a way to be able to transfer different digital content. But there's a big difference with NFTs. There's the blockchain. The biggest thing with the blockchain is there's digital ownership, right? With a CD-ROM, I can burn a bunch of music like I used to probably do when I was in high school. Cannot say whether or not I did for sure. Probably illegally downloaded it from Napster. But now there's ownership, right? Blockchain represents digital ownership. It represents a transparent ledger. It's immutable. It cannot be changed. And that means it's also tradable. It's pretty powerful stuff. How does this relate to marketing? Right now, why should brands care about Web3? Well, communities online, whether you're in Web 2 or Web 3, communities have become tribes. Communities have become ambassadors. I often say that brands do not actually own their brand. They are stewards of the brand, and the customers are the actual owners of the brand. So in 2021 and 2022, I had the opportunity to work with a few major enterprises. We're going to go through a few of them as case studies and see what all of them did with NFTs. And surprise, surprise, none of them had to do with any speculation. None of it had to do with any sort of monetary trading value. All of it had to do with a new customer journey and trying to create and formulate communities in a new and unique way using this technology. So the first one we'll start off with is SAP. Does everyone know what SAP is? It's a very major global enterprise, and one of the things that there's usually one champion within these enterprises, right? That's just very curious about what this technology can actually do for the company, maybe for their department. The department that we really worked closely with was SAP SuccessFactors. That's their HR division, essentially, right? So they had won basically a team award. They basically won the team of the year for their department, right? And instead of having one guy, the CEO, have the trophy sitting on a shelf in his office collecting dust, they wanted to actually share it with the team who made them actually win the business line of the year, right? So the idea was that they were going to make a piece of art, mint it on a blockchain, and then distribute it to their employees to recognize them as a part of the team, no matter if they go on to another job the following year or a few years later, that will always be a part of their permanent record CV. So we made it super easy, right? All they had to do was sign up with their email, claim the award. It was completely free. We had to gate it though, right? Only those with the SAP SuccessFactors email was able to actually claim it. And so once they did, one of the biggest things that they wanted to do was show it off to the world, right? So we allowed them to actually mint it and then add that to their LinkedIn specifically. And once it was actually added to the LinkedIn, it was linked back onto a transaction on the blockchain so people could actually see it was in their wallet, it was owned by them, attached to their email as well. So that was one really interesting way to share an award. No monetary value. The other one that we worked with very closely, this was actually in 2021, was Coach, the handbag company. They wanted to do a holiday campaign. 8 days right before the holidays, they wanted to allow their current customers to be able to claim an NFT, which was just this cute little cartoon right here, right? They said, okay, we're gonna allow you guys to have 2,000 of these. The first 2,000 people to claim this are going to be very happy that they did. That's all that they said. So each day they released about 10, or they released about 10 NFTs, and the first ones to claim it was first come, first serve. So what did that indicate? That indicated that the most loyal people who were really following them were the ones who actually were able to claim it, right? And this was claimed for free. No one had to have a wallet beforehand. Everything was created. It was a very seamless user experience. A few months later, they then announced anyone with those NFTs is now able to claim a free custom handbag by Coach. That was huge. When that came out, people were they were going crazy. Basically, from that moment on, Coach was like, okay, let's see what else we can do in terms of loyalty. So they have this program called the Insiders Program, and they allowed their insiders to sign up for 1 week, so it was a 7-day period, sign up if you're a true insider. And they had about 15,000 people actually sign up. Those 15,000 individuals were then the only ones, they were whitelisted to be able to claim this NFT, this one right here, which was a commemorative NFT that they launched during NFT NYC in 2022. This gave them access to exclusive newsletters, to exclusive products, and also it was a surprise ticket to a very exclusive private event in New York during NFT NYC, where they gave out a whole bunch of really fun stuff as well. So again, this is all about brand loyalty and things that they can do specifically using this technology. All of this was done for free, right? The customers didn't ever have to pay for anything, no transactions, nothing. It was all about rewarding their most loyal customers and the ones who participated. And then finally, PwC. PwC has been a very vocal leader in the blockchain ecosystem in general for years and years. They host these private events all around the country in the United States of America, where they host their top partners and they show them what the next emerging tech looks like and how they might be able to implement it into their business models. So this was a private event in Amelia Island in Florida. And what we did was we basically set it up so we could gamify the entire event. So it was a 2-day event, and they did really fun things like they had golf tournaments, they had poker tournaments, all of these things, they were all gamified with an NFT. So the winners of the golf tournament were the ones who actually got the NFTs. The poker champion, the only one, there was one person who was very excited, he got a poker champion NFT. The early bird, if someone actually signed up and they registered early without registering at the event, they got an NFT as well. And as they collected more and more NFTs, they were rewarded various different things throughout the entire event as well. Free shipping and handling and a free set of exclusive Adidas, that exact yellow outfit, which was really, really interesting. I still have like 3 of them right now in my storage. So it was really interesting. It was all about utility. And in 2022, that's what it was all about. It was, okay, so you've participated, you've showed up. Now how do we reward you with a real utility? This led me on a journey all around the world. Like these NFTs, it started in Bitcoin Miami in 2021, would then go on to be able to mint a bunch of different things, then went to NFT Paris, was a part of their photo shoot for their campaign, then went to Berlin and met up with them at their headquarters and learned all about the next phase and became really, really close with the team. Then went to New York, went shopping at their headquarters as well, and became a part of a huge scavenger hunt. This happened because I collected 3 free NFTs. This was a 3-year experience for me as a customer, right? I actually never owned, well, I have owned Adidas shoes way back in the day when I was in middle school. I hadn't owned them before, like ever since then. And after this, that's pretty much all I wear, except for my Converse that I'm wearing right now. It was amazing. It was a huge immersive experience, you guys. Like, I can't emphasize it enough. Like, this is the thing about marketing in Web3 is if you co-create, you co-market, and you bring your most loyal people in, it's a game changer. I am more loyal to Adidas than I ever have been. And part of it is because of the shared memories and experiences that just these NFTs have given me and my community as well. So all of this, these are just some really fun case studies, hopefully for you guys to be able to sink your teeth into. I'm going to go into consumer behavior. That is what my research is all about. Consumer behavior, in consumer behavior research, the holy grail is purchase. What do we get to see on the blockchain? We see what you own. That means you usually have either claimed it for free or you have spent your good earned money on it, right? It is essentially like being able to look into the database of MasterCard and understanding all of your transactions, right? But it's anonymized. It does not have your name actually associated with it. So the blockchain allows us to understand the purchase behavior of early adopters. If it's in their wallet, they own it. Just a quick recap, fungible means Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, these are tokens. These are one for one, it's a US dollar, $1 is a dollar, €1 is a euro. Non-fungible is art, membership, these are NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So this led me down the rabbit hole of really getting into on-chain data. This was really what hooked me into Web3 after my PhD, and I continue to work in this space specifically. There were 3 variables that we were most interested in. I'm currently an advisor for a company called Web3 Sense. Go check it out. We'll have the links a little bit later on. But when I met Web3 Sense, we were really trying to understand, they were running a full Ethereum node at the University of Notre Dame. And so it was almost too much information to really try to understand and parse through what does this mean. We were looking at 3 different variables, right? Within each smart contract and within each wallet, we can look at 3 variables. 1, the wealth. 2, the loyalty. And 3, how networks actually form. And so we're going to go through each one of these. So the buying power is the wealth, essentially, right? This is the ownership. So blockchain allows us to see the total buying power within each wallet. NFTs represent interests, your brand preference, and membership. Now remember, if I had an Alts by Adidas NFT in my wallet, well, yeah, maybe that shows that I have a preference towards Adidas. But wait, I also have a Nike NFT in there as well. Well, that's interesting. What else do you have? And this is a whole new way of measuring interest. Beyond just what you follow on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, this is the most deep part of the relationship because you actually have gone through some sort of a customer journey to be able to own a piece of that brand. Liquidity is basically the buying power in various currencies. So this is what we were looking at. Here are a few brand case studies that we've done analyses on. So for example, Lacoste, Puma, Adidas, Nike, and Artifact, which sadly they have sunset, but this was pulled quite a while ago, so this is not completely accurate in terms of the overall volume and wealth. This is probably a much, much higher as it is right now. We pulled this in the bear. But Lacoste, Puma, and Adidas, you can see the total value of community, the TVC, right? So what we do is we pull NFTs and we pull their total liquidity. At this moment in time, we were looking at Ethereum. We are now very much excited to be doing this with Solana as well. But understanding the community liquidity, what does that mean? That means what's the buying power of your customer base? It's pretty amazing to know that there's over $12 million of buying power in a currency that they cannot use at the movies, they cannot use it at the restaurant. What else are they gonna use it on, right? This is a totally untapped market for brands, and this was really, really interesting. Now, these are those who actually own a Lacoste NFT, right? So the NFT from Lacoste is actually in their wallet, and based on what else is in their wallet, that's how we pull this information. Same with Puma, Adidas, Nike. Nike knocks it out of the park. I still don't understand why they sunset it, but we'll see what happens in the future. Trading behavior. This is where we're starting to really get into real on-chain data analysis. Understanding brand loyalty, right? So what we look at is their trading behavioral patterns, right? So we put this together into 5 different categories: a holder, a believer, a flipper, a trader, or a stack and seller. So what do these all mean? A holder buys at mint and never sells. They never sell, they're diamond-handed, right? A believer buys at mint and continues to accumulate, right? A believer really believes in it. They might have bought 1, now they want to buy 2, 3, 4, 5 after. A flipper buys and sells less than 6 days after the mint. A trader buys and sells frequently. Stack and seller buys many at once and then gradually sells. So we can actually look and understand the behavior within each wallet based on what you actually own, right? So what's really interesting is you see the behavioral pattern of Lacoste holders, 44%. That's pretty special. And one of the reasons why they did this so well, I think, was because they really, at the time, they were really trying to get into co-creation with their fan base. The only people who could co-create with Lacoste's new and latest products were those who held on to the Lacoste NFT. So they were really trying to engage with their power users to try to help them build the next feature of Lacoste. Puma did various different things, Adidas, but the number one was absolutely Lacoste. The buying and trading behavior of individuals is something that no brand actually has access to right now, right? Like if I bought these and then I sold them, how is Converse ever going to know? No one knows that. This is pretty powerful stuff. This is digital asset commodified, basically, and being able to understand what people do with the thing after you buy. It's really, really powerful stuff. All right, the next variable is basically measuring collective behavior, the network's behavior, right? So if this was really all about the individual behavior, what is the network doing collectively? So we're really looking, again, at the trading behavioral patterns. And what we find when we start diagramming these network effects, essentially, is we are able to see the various different nodes and the various different things that the actual community is doing collectively. Now, this can be a signal for lots of different things. This, again, was pulled back in, I think, 2023. This community, does anyone know who Gary Vee is? Anyone? Yeah? All right. Gary Vee has an NFT collection called VeeFriends. This diagram is the most unique diagram I've ever seen. This means that the people who bought them held on to them. And they also didn't just hold on to them, they just kept on buying more. For the most part, if you don't know who Gary Vee is a social media influencer. I suppose he's also an entrepreneur, a business owner. He owns VaynerMedia. He really did a fantastic job of onboarding new users. And that was really his focus was, okay, the people on social media who follow me, who love me, who are inspired by my talks and all these things, I want them to buy into my community. And I really want them to be, but you know what they usually did is they bought that and they didn't go anywhere else. And they held on to it and they didn't really know what else to do with it, right? But this is really, really, in terms of qualitative takeaways, this community boasts a greater percentage of holders and believers than any other peer community. That was a really huge insight. We were able to actually show him this and he was really excited and very blown away. We can also incorporate the size of wallets. This diagram, for example, these really dark nodes, this represents big whales, right? People who really have a huge amount of influence, huge large wallets, like lockdown, they are the biggest influencers. So we started looking at the wallets of various different owners within Australian Open, as well as Lacoste, and we were able to identify and tell both of these companies and say, hey, this individual is probably the most influential person. If you ever were to do a campaign together, this would probably be the #1 guy who would help really bring it to life and really has the most influence in terms of trades on chain. We then started really diving into more personas, the influence of the different personas, understanding what their behavior was, their holdings, and all of these different things. And most importantly, global reach. And so as brands and companies and startups are really trying to understand how to really hit the nail on the head when they're launching a new campaign, a new project, or a new product, this data is more valuable than anything else, in my opinion. If you want to reach a global audience in North America, okay, where do you go and how do you actually captivate that audience? Same with South America, Asia, Australia. Really, really interesting stuff. So the future, what does this look like? What does this mean for you? I think the main thing is, especially if you're in a Web2 marketing position or if you're in Web2 in general, my biggest suggestion is to just think outside of the block. I mean, genuinely, I know we have been talking, we've heard lots of amazing talks about meme coins, about all these different speculative assets. In my opinion and in my experience, I genuinely think this technology can be a huge unlock for companies, for brands, for startups to be able to really build community and create a whole new customer experience that really can't be replicated with any other technology. So my biggest question for you, and hopefully the big takeaway, is how can you build true connection through this technology? And that's me. If you want to follow me on X, also, Life Out of the Box still exists. My husband and I create content every single week. And if you want to reach out and email me, my email's there. Please, 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 I am very open to it. Also, one of the biggest reasons why I came here, I love the AthensDAOx guys, the Dean's List. Everyone who is here feels like family. And being here at this university is a really, really special treat for me and for, I think, all of us in general. One of my biggest passions is to really help bring more academic research to the Solana blockchain. And so if there's any opportunities that you guys want to be involved with that, please let me know. Very happy to help. And that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Quinn.